ever since I was little, like I always knew who I was. I mean, dance in itself is an expression.
There's something so ceremonial about going on the dance floor and releasing.
I love to dance, but someone else, maybe from an older generation, may say, bueno, what she's dancing is a little bit vulgar. Maybe your grandma's gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe that she's showing her booty. You ask me, I'm like, it's okay. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just opening other people's eyes to their ability to heal themselves.
Hello, everyone. This is Nati, owner of House of Vibration, host of Rich and Soul podcast. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. On this podcast is a place where we integrate both spirituality and business because you don't have to choose between the two. And today on our episode, I'm so excited to bring on someone that is just so beautiful in spirit, and she's been doing so much incredible things in Miami. Ava Machado, owner of Abidjana Wellness. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay! How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. On the way here, I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Like, you know, like the feeling of like imposter syndrome that like, you know, como que, but no, yo me tiro. I'm like, I'm going to do great. It's going to be amazing. And I'm super
so excited.
Yeah.
You are, you know, it's so crazy, you know, seeing you, being in Miami and watching you. I saw you when you kind of like first started. You came in as like a client, and I was doing we were doing aura readings, and even I think that was what, like 6 months ago, a year, and then seeing you recently at another event, how much you've been glowing and how much you've been growing and how many women that you're helping. You know, at your studio, you offer wood therapy services, you offer somatic healing, and this is something that our generation is needing so much. Women are in so much pain. And it's so crazy because when I'm working, the reason why I was so attracted to being able to talk to you and bring you on this podcast is because one of the biggest things that I find in this space when helping women, mostly women, because men don't usually have this situation happening, is that on a sacral level, there is so much trauma that is very much trapped in that area, in that abdominal area. And when every time that I'm working with women, I constantly see that that is the chakra or the area that the person is needing the most help with. And so I think it's really interesting because the last time that I saw you were doing an event, and I was like sending people to her. I was like, hey, go see Ava because she's going to be able to help you in that area, which is like giving back love into yourself. So I would love to hear about how it is that you even got started. Tell us about the name. Like, I literally, behind the scenes, I like made a mistake saying the name like 3 times because it's so interesting. You could say it in 2 different ways, and I'd love for you to even express and explain how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I completely manifested this entire business. I was in school for business at Miami-Dade College. Mm-hmm. And then part of like the schoolwork was to create a project of this hypothetical business. And the people that had businesses, you know, they were just using their existing business. But I didn't have one yet. So I was like, okay, I want to do a wellness business. I've always been into wellness and like into dancing. And, you know, that's kind of what ended up leading me into like the somatic work and all that stuff. But I was just like, okay, like, let me find a name. I started doing research. You know, I'm studying like, you know, Ayurveda, all of these things. I'm going to India. So it's like, oh, I want to find a name in Sanskrit that kind of like combines my name and something spiritual. So then I find Abidjana, which means like concentration and mindfulness. Wow. And it's actually really funny because now I'm inside a mindful music lab. So everything is like a full circle moment. And then I was like, okay, I want to put my little spin on it, you know, being Latina in Miami, like Abidjana is very, you know, like pa allá pa India. So I'm like, okay, like let me say Abidjana. And every time like I tell people the name, it's very confusing. And I didn't think about it like that because this was just supposed to be a project. Like, and then I opened the LLC and then it became real. And like my dad and I, we're not thinking like people are gonna have a hard time because like in our minds, like this is a real business. Was your dad
always like super involved in your business?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Because like, so this project ended up turning like I did this whole entire hypothetical business.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the semester, it was time like for the students in the business school to do like a Shark Tank. And then I would tell my dad like, oh, I want to do it because, you know, when it comes to business and like making money, like I'll go and stand up on that stage in front of all these venture capitalists and like tell them my business idea and maybe I can make some money.
Yeah.
And then I actually ended up winning.
So you've always been like on stage, superstar. Okay, something about this human that I have in front of me is she's got star power. I was actually talking about star power the other day. So like, you know, when you see celebrities and you're like, they have like this magnetism to them.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? There's a reason why, like going back in time, that we call them superstars. The superstar syndrome, right? That's like the phenomenon of a superstar is not by coincidence, right? What happens is that when people are in power, when you have a gift inside of you, you can look at someone and be like, after you meet me, this is what's going to happen. So if you've like in your case, right, as a little kid, behind the scenes, she was telling me a little bit about her story, and I'm going to have her share with you guys after because it's really interesting. But as a little kid, you came into this world kind of knowing that you had this superstar in you, right? Because as a superstar, you were able to say, I do this one thing and I am able to showcase it and show up as that version. And if you, like in my case, I know that I can see someone's gift and I can build out a business model for them immediately. You know, like if I see someone's gift and they're able to remember, I can, let's run, let's go, let's do it. That is what superstars do. That magnetism that they're able to attract. And you have so much magnetism to you. Like you're very electrifying, right? Like you carry that. I would love for you to share, like, because even going back, right? You have this business that's doing so well and it's so beautiful because again, women need it so much, and you have to have a lot of confidence to be able to tell a woman, hey, let me put my hands on you. Okay. So I would love for them to hear about your story and how you kind of always knew that you had this very much the superstar syndrome, the superstar magnetism in you.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, if I were to say my gift, the best thing I'm good at is being myself and being able to show up like my intentional Eva Nicole Machado, which not even because it's the gift is inside, right? It's not just okay my face or oh I'm gonna put my hands on you and I'm gonna make you snatch, and no, it's like I'm
gonna make you snatch.
Yeah, because in a lot of the business, you know, I have to promote it like that because you are living in Miami, people want to come in and look skinny and whatever. But it's not just about that. And ever since I was little, like I always knew who I was, and a lot of that was my dad. He would like instill that in me.
Wow.
Pero desde chiquita, I would be like dancing. My mom said that when I would be like having the bottle, I would be dancing to the music. Like I would be shrugging my shoulders, like since a little girl,
really?
Right? So then that's when I was like, okay, I want to do modeling and I want to do different things. And then my parents put me in Sábado Gigante, which was like, you know, a big novela, not a novela, it was like a
big show in
like
Latin
like
America.
a talk show.
Yeah.
And then I was one of the little girls there, and I remember telling my dad, if the show was in English, I would be doing better because, you know, I speak both English and Spanish, but I mean, I did feel more comfortable with English at that point. So I started doing that and just naturally kind of like developed into like, okay, now I'm going to do these pageants. And then I won the Nuestra Bellecita Latina thing. And then I went to
Nuestra Bellecita Latina, Eva Machado. Y estamos presentando a Eva Machado.
Wait, no, that's exactly how.
I know.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it was like crazy, but
and
it
you
just
always
happened
liked
so
it
natural.
though.
Yeah, I've always liked it.
That's the other thing. Like, I'll give you an example. Like when I was younger, I also did like some stuff, right? Like I did like I was like in Nickelodeon, Spanish, Nickelodeon. My mom, we would go to casting calls. Like I danced also my whole life. We'll put some B-roll shots of me when I was little, but I danced also. I went to Peaches, shout out to Peaches. And I didn't like it.
No way.
I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I felt, I think there was like this thing that was really hard for me was that we did like a casting for Fast and the Furious. And And in I think that the first conversation, like, about, like, the way she looks and her weight and this and that, and I think those are like those first, like, moments where I, like, completely rebelled. I was like, I never want to dance again. I never want to do, like, a freaking activity for school spirit. F all that. Like, I want to go and party. I want to go and get in trouble. Like, and so that's like, I left that all behind. But it's so beautiful to hear that you're like, no, I truly enjoyed the entire process. And I can see it because if you look at her social media, she's like, you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, you're truly having so much fun. And something that I want to ask you too, like, what you do, right, with somatic work and typically, right, like, being, I think your business model is very similar to what we do at House of Vibration, where it falls into certain categories, right? And the way that we want to approach and the type of audience that we want to, present ourselves in front of, especially me in the beginning with House of Vibration, doing with like the wellness events, right?
Yeah.
And the girly events and the, it's a certain niche type of event in Miami. And I think in Miami and LA and New York, we really see this the most. But how do you think that the way that people perceive you, right? Like, being this young, youthful girl, right? How do you think that softness empowers you? Or do you think that there's like misconceptions sometimes that you're like, damn, like, I really wish that people didn't take advantage of this persona that I actually put up?
Yeah. I definitely think that people can think that, oh, she's young, whatever, she doesn't really know what she's saying. But I think that the ability for me to connect with people has made it easier. A lot of people would say, oh, she has a girly, cute business. It's not that big of a deal. But to me, it is a big deal. And every single person, and not even just client, because I don't even like to say client. Like, every soul that comes and works with me, whether it's with wood therapy, somatic, like, we're connecting. And there's a certain vulnerability that I need to have with the person to be able to connect with them, because it's energy, it's frequency. So although some people may be able to like look and be like, oh, bueno, she's a young entrepreneur, good luck with her little business.
Her little business.
Yeah, the little business. But this little business is going to be a huge business one day.
This little business que tú estás viendo aquí, this is going to be a big business.
Yeah, no, seriously. And I think that's the inner knowing. And what you said, like, I love the fact that people can sense that I'm having fun with it, because I am. With acting, I used to do acting. I used to be, and I loved it. And then I ended up, like, I stopped acting because I wanted to pursue dance. And if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't be doing the stuff that I'm doing now, because then the dance, weaves in with the somatic work, letting go of all of that, negativity, and even like the perceptions that other people have, because I love to dance, but someone else, maybe from an older generation, may say, bueno, what she's dancing is a little bit vulgar. Yeah. But I don't think so. So me not caring what other people think, that's also empowering in its own way.
It truly. Speaking of dance, I think it's really interesting. I went to and you might find this interesting too. I went to an event. I went to a Sadhguru event. You know Sadhguru?
Yeah, I actually do.
And I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing this, but I went to one of his events and I thought it was really interesting because there was a point where they were playing music, and the band kind of like came out, and like his band, he has like a whole like music line, right? It's like a whole like orchestra of like artists. It's really wild. And there's no cell phones. You're not allowed to record. But most importantly, the reason why is because there was one point where people were feeling very liberated, okay? Like, people were dancing. This was like on day 2 of like the workshop, right? And after like a lot of kriyas had been done, and like we were just like a lot of like work had been released, and I was seeing people dance like really like somatically, you know,
like really exaggerating,
really like, oh, and they were, like, I'm burlona a little bit, like, I'm not gonna lie, I might crack a little joke here and there, And like I was by myself at this event. So obviously when you go to by yourself to an event, you're very vulnerable. That's why I always tell people like go by yourself. Like don't, right?
Yes,
like,
why? Well, that, and I think that is because I'm an only child. Are you an
yeah,
only
me
child?
too.
Oh my gosh.
I grew up as an only child.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I think as an only child, and some people, because there's two types of only childs, right?
Yeah.
There's the people that are like, no, I wish I grew up with siblings, and no, I always felt very lonely. But I was the type of only child that you will see me playing Barbies by myself, and I loved it. I didn't want my parents to have another kid, and you know, like no.
Well, I have an interesting dynamic. I grew up as an only child, but I had siblings from my dad's side. But I had like a good mix of like growing up lonely in a sense, but at the same time like, and me and my brother are 9 years apart, so he came in later on. But I think the only child thing taught me that too, of like, wow, really powerful things. I even tell my boyfriend all the time. I'm like, babe, I'm a Virgo too. What sign are you?
Oh, I'm a Pisces. But it makes so much sense that you're a Pisces.
Johnny's a Pisces too.
Oh my God. Wait, I love this.
I love Pisces.
I feel like Virgos and Pisces.
Yeah,
they definitely mix 100%.
They are the best. It's so crazy. He's my boyfriend who's a Pisces. He grew up with his mom who's a Pisces, his sister is a Pisces, and I'm a Pisces.
Oh, wait, no, you're a Virgo.
I mean, sorry. It's so funny. He's like, guys, he's looking at me. He's like, what opposite? No, I mean, like, we're all Virgos. He's a Pisces. Yeah. But what I was saying is back to the story about, what I was saying, being alone is so key. So going to this event by yourself, right? I'm there and I'm like seeing all these people kind of like dancing and da. And some people start taking out their phones and like recording. And he like stops the music and he's like, stop it. Like he was like upset. He was like, stop recording. Mind you, there was like 6,000 people at this event. Like it's not like this little tiny thing, like 6,000 people. He's like, stop it. Stop the music. He's with his elegance. Like he's so like strong. And he's like, you know, when people are dancing, you should never record them. You should never take pictures of them. If you can, don't even look. And I was like, what? And he explained how when people dance, they are releasing. And that is a form of like prayer, right?
Wow.
Like it's, and if you think about it, you know, growing up, going to church, like you never take pictures you never would go in with your camera into the cathedral during service, right? And it kind of brings me back to like, we're living in a time where people are feeling like they need to document their most sacred moments.
That is so true.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting because in your case, right, it's such a playful approach. If you guys haven't seen these videos, I like the booty shorts, that where you're like that booty
I wear booty shorts cause my pipe long. I'm like somehow making, you know, like a sexy red, like super vulgar song.
But it didn't look vulgar, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a very thin line. It's like Miss Sexy Red or whatever. Like, no, but talk to me about when you're leading these classes and working with these women and like all of this release is happening. Talk to me about that process and like how you have found that to be so key for women who are trying to work like on their sacral energy.
I think it's really interesting to see the process and like the growth of a woman who's just starting to dance, just finally getting comfortable in her own body. There's people that come to these dance classes, whether it's, you know, like it doesn't matter what type of dance, but you can just sense it in the energy that like, oh, I'm not comfortable here. Like I had to, you know, force myself to come here because I'm still not comfortable in my own body, which is okay because everyone, you know, starts somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And then a year later, you're going to see that same girl in a dance class, you know, throwing it back to the Sexy Red song and loving it and, you know, having fun with it. So I think dance in itself is an expression. It's a tool to release, but it's more like it's so individual because I have a lot of fun with it. You know, I've always been a dancer, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe I'm way better at dancing now than 7 years ago. You know, 7 years ago, I could not teach a dance class, but I've been able to grow. And like through this whole process of seeing how it's helped me so much. Like dance, you know, like being alone in your kitchen or folding laundry, you know, like that is, it's not just when you go to a dance class where you're learning a choreography, you know, it's what you learn there and you're like, actually I had a lot of fun. It's not so taboo, you know, because maybe your grandma's gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe that, you know, my granddaughter is posting, you know, or she's showing, you know, her booty or whatever. But then if you ask me, I'm like, well, if I'm doing that at home in my kitchen and I'm super comfortable with myself, why not show other women it's okay to do that? Like, it's okay to be in your feminine energy and just release all of, like, you know, who cares what other people think if you're happy, right? That's what matters.
But, you know, the way that you're doing it, though, I promise you, like, it really is such a thin line. It does not look vulgar. And, you know, there's also speaking about, like, divine sexuality, right? Like, if we even go, like, deeper into that expression part, the dance, like, I always tell also my partner, I'm like, no, like, every once in a while I have to dance. Like, so I have, like, my two girlfriends that one of them's Peruvian, the other one's Dominican, right? And, like, I have, like, I've always had, like, my little groups and my little, like, certain groups of friends that are for certain things. These are, like, my sisters, and when they come into town, like, we go out, and I don't drink, right? But there's something so ceremonial about going on the dance floor with your friends and releasing. And I think that's why alcohol, it can be so bad, because it's like you're already releasing so many demons when you're dancing. When you are on a dance floor, you are releasing that, right? And if you are bringing in a spirit, right, because that's what alcohol is, a spirit. It's like, oh, it's a lot. So think about how that's happening, right? That's why I love, like, the whole blow up right now with, like, the coffee and, like, party and, like, daybreaker and all that kind of stuff that's happening. I think it's so beautiful to give people a space to, first off, in the daytime, before the portal of the night is open, because that's a portal itself.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about it like that. Wow.
So giving people the opportunity to release in the day, right? Sober. As a collective, letting people tap into their true expression. At these, like, day parties, you're seeing children here. Like, because it's like, it should be like a family affair.
No, it is.
Everybody should be able to dance together. But considering that, right, when people are, okay, think of, like, you're dancing, you're releasing, especially when the twerking, if you, like, look ancestrally, if you look back in history, like, the twerking, right, like, our ancestors literally did twerk.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah, you don't have to tell me. I know. It's in my bloodstream. In my past life, I was Brazilian.
Like, I was Brazilian in my past life twerking. So that, like, energy is being released with what you do, right? Not only when you're leading these dance classes, these ceremonial dances, okay? Because that's what they are. Working with the wood therapy, working with women's bodies, right? The somatic work they're releasing. How do you energetically clean up for yourself?
Oh, wow. I feel like, and a lot of people are going to think that's taboo, but it's being selfish. I take the time. I mean, it's not every day, right? I would love to say, like, oh, every single day, this is my routine, and I have 3 hours to just cleanse myself. You know, I will say every single night, I will not get into bed without showering. And I shower, and I literally imagine as the water is going down my body, everything is releasing itself. Usually in all of the wood therapy sessions, I always do, like, a aspect of, like, somatic work and meditation, and I have the person, you know, envision themselves standing in nature, hugging a tree, and just transferring all of their energy, all of the negative stuff. Like, the tree is absorbing all of that. And then there has been so many times where I feel like I'm guiding them through that meditation, and then I'm absorbing all of the energy, and then I go home feeling super bad, like super drained. And then that's when I'll jump in the shower and do that. But I love to work with crystals, and, you know, like, a lot of it's dancing, stretching. And you know how, like, it's super common to see people like, oh, I did this yoga pose and I was crying for 15 minutes. And I used to be like, oh, well, when I do this pose, like, I never break down and start crying, you know? But actually recently, and I've been doing yoga for years, I've been sitting in these poses for a long time, like frog pose. Like, frog pose is the one where
you're like, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one where I was sitting in it for 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And then I actually, like, I started, and I can't even explain it, but, like, I felt my body releasing.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was just, like, my body was easing into the pose. And I just felt like crying. And it was the first time I had ever been able to do that. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to sell a course on how to cry during yoga and release it, because it's something that it just happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I feel, and even like with the same thing with my manifestations, my meditations, like I love to do some cleansing work like through meditation, right? If I jump into a quantum leaping, you know, like, not that I'm able to do that every single time I meditate, but I've been able to a lot.
Yes.
And the times I've been able to, I'm like aligning with a different frequency. So let's say I do feel bad and I am, you know, absorbing other people's energies. If I'm able to just change my emotion, like energy and motion, right? If I'm able to align with a happy frequency, like, you know what? Yes, I absorbed that, but I'm allowing myself to release that. Yes. And just be empty, sit with myself. Not even that I'm like, oh, I'm releasing that and I'm bringing in good. No, what if I just release everything? The good and the bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's true.
Surrendering.
Yeah, just releasing everything, letting go of everything. Because I don't have to hold on to, like, the detachment.
Because you're like, oh, wait, I don't want to go let that go. No, like, hold up. Like, there's more to come.
Yes, exactly.
There's more good
it's
that's going to come.
from everything. It's not just, oh, I want to manifest this great thing in my life. But no, let's keep this because I'm comfortable with this. No, you have to be able to detach from everything to be able to call in what you want to call in.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, I think the detachment thing, the surrendering thing is so key. Like, as givers, as facilitators, right? So if anybody watching is a facilitator and they're constantly feeling like, as healers, as women especially, we have this shadow self, which is the burden of wanting to fix everyone. Okay. And naturally, that's why when I hear a lot of people, they're like, I'm a healer. I'm like, we all are. There's not a single person who is not, right? Like, everybody as a human being works from a heart-centered place. There's maybe not everybody around us is a human being. I don't know. That's the thing. That's another conversation. Yeah. But as a human, especially as women, we want to serve and we want to nurture for people around us. And so the shadow self wants to fix people and put as a burden their problems upon ourselves. So it's like, whenever I hear people like, oh, I have this bad tendency of wanting to fix people, it's like, it's not a bad tendency. Like, all of us have this. It's just about putting spiritual boundaries in place. Having spiritual boundaries are so key, especially as facilitators, because it's like a double whammy position, right? Where you have like these two hats on, that you have like the hat on as a human being that wants to serve for all mankind, and then you're actually taking the responsibility of wanting to provide spaces where people could come and heal and transform, because you're almost like taking them by the hand and walking them through a path. That's true. And so when you're walking them through that path, you are saying in that moment, okay, then I'm willing to replenish. Like, even I'm willing to take time to give back and pour back into myself. Before we started the podcast, we were chatting a little bit, and I was telling Ava how when I worked in corporate, I drained myself so much. Like, I was looking at some pictures of when I worked in corporate. I was in corporate for 9 years, well, 10 years technically. And Ava, like, I look at pictures and I look unrecognizable. Like, I had so much dark circles. Wow. I looked so stressed. I looked so sad, even though I was like, yeah, I was happy. I had everything that I wanted. Totally cool. But my job was just to work like all day. And when I slowly started to work with House of Vibration, I started House of Vibration a year before I actually left. I had made the plan, okay, I want to open up this business. I'm not going to open it when I'm leaving. I'm going to open it now so that when I leave, like, I have a group of people that I can work with. And I remember telling my partner, babe, like, I can't do this job. Like, I remember he'd be like, oh, why don't you go do this after work or something like that? And I'd be like, I literally can't today because I am so drained. I have not replenished myself. versus working in corporate where you could work burnt out. I don't really believe in this, the whole concept of being burned out, but I truly was burnt to a crisp, and I worked well in that space being burnt to a crisp, you know? But in this space of self-work, right? Of providing spaces where people can heal, you can't work crispy. You gotta constantly be replenished. Like literally, I gotta be soaking and oozing love and good vibes in order for me to help people. So that's something that I see in you. Like you are that energy that the people see you and they're like, oh my God, she's so cute. She's so sweet. She's so smiley. It's because you're oozing of good vibes. So you giving yourself that good energy that you have, like, talk to me about like the practices that you do. Like you said that you do sometimes like dance and stuff like that. But what is like a non-negotiable that you do when you get home? Like, is it like what's something like, let's say someone wanted to do what you're doing and they're like, I'm feeling like burnt like that. What is like your go-to?
I mean, I love to sleep. And it's so funny, but like,
Yeah.
no, that's something that's non-negotiable for me. I have to sleep my 8 to 9 hours every single night. And maybe for some people, you know, they're like, no, I'm fine on 6. Okay, well, no, I know I need my 8 to 9 hours of deep sleep. And it's also because I'm connecting. I mean, I'm someone that I have lucid dreams. Like my dreams are very vivid, and I'll wake up and most of the time I forget them if I don't write it down. But I know that I'm very active in like another dimension when I'm sleeping, and I feel like that in itself, you know, helps me. But also in the Ayurveda stuff, you know, I went to India and I learned a lot about Abhyanga massage, and I will massage my feet with sesame oil like almost every night. I mean, like sometimes, you know, I'll miss a day, but that's another thing that's non-negotiable. Yeah, I love it because it grounds you. So in Ayurveda, the essence of Vata, which is space and air, you know, usually like if you have a migraine after like a long time of me, you know, doing wood and being like standing up, ya me duele la cabeza, like I'll have a migraine, and like that helps bring the energy downwards, you know, like the downward causation. And that's also seen in somatic work, in quantum physics. So it's really interesting how like, and then a simple foot massage, like you can just put the oil and no massage. But if you even just like touching your feet.
You put sesame, you said?
Yeah, sesame oil. And it's so interesting because a lot of people like be like, oh my God, it smells like, you know, like orange chicken or like a Chinese store.
I literally always tell my partner too, I'm like, please no, don't cook with the sesame oil.
No, I know, but and you don't have to use sesame, but it's really good for Vata type people. So like if I have like a headache or, you know, like my skin is dry, then I will opt for that because that's, you know, Ayurveda, what they say. I
forgot which one I am. I'm the hot-blooded one.
Oh, you're Pitta. Yeah, that's for sunflower oil.
Sunflower oil?
Like, that's really good. I mean, the thing about sesame oil is it's good for any of them. No, actually, I'm tridoshic. So in school, I had my teacher do a consultation for me because part of my homework was like, okay, like figure out which one you are, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, I'm having such a hard time figuring this out because I feel like I'm all of them. And we did like a 2-hour consultation. She was like, my dear, like, yeah, like you're tridoshic, but like, for example, physically, I'm very kapha. Kapha is like the, you know, the round face. I'm very, you know, like rellenita and loving, you know, like I have a lot of that tendency. Vata people are also known to be very either tall or short. I'm very short, you know, I'm 4'9", 4'10". So like,
and they're friolentos, like they get cold easily.
Yes, super friolentos, because that's the aspect of being, you know, like you know, air, space, these type of people are also very creative as well, but just like they learn something quickly, se va quickly también.
Airy, very all over.
So but I definitely have Pitta. I mean, it makes so much sense that you're Pitta. Like you didn't even have to tell me that for me to know that. Because any entrepreneur, like I would say 99.9% of the entrepreneurs that I've met, they're all Pitta.
Oh, really?
Because, or not like solely, you know, just because Pitta is fire with a little bit of water, like the oiliness. But yeah, it's for sure you have to have that ambition, that drive, that fire, like the sharpness, you know, to be able to like take action, you know. And it's actually really interesting too, because anything you'll see online about Vata, it's like these are the people that are very creative, right? So then they can come up with like this entire business idea, and like, you know, and they're known as like, oh, these are the artists, which they are, but Pittas are the ones that put it into motion, because you can have all these great ideas, but if you're not sharp and you're not executing, then you're just gonna keep wishing, you know, or you're just gonna keep coming up with these great ideas, and then someone else is gonna end up doing it.
And that's exactly what this is about, like proving that you need both. Like it's like you there each person has a gift. Each person has a unique purpose on this planet. Like I can't live the Vata can't live without the pita or the peta or whatever. Like we need every single person is needed on this planet to make this planet continue in its evolution. I was gonna ask you, like back to the seed oil thing. I'm like stuck on the coming back every night and really talking to your feet because um I kind of do. I always tell people too, like whenever they're struggling with their root, right? Whether there's like some, home life situations going on, if they're having problems with their roommates or if they're having problems with their relationships, just any type of home life situation. And I always tell them to come back home or they're struggling to make a hard decision in life, to come back home and rub their feet with oils.
Wow.
And
You
so
also say
something,
that.
yeah.
Wow.
So I love that you say that. It's so interesting, but I've never tried it using the sesame oil.
No, but you don't have to. And
Yeah.
also for pitta, like you can use coconut oil, which coconut oil is much more acceptable. That's the one that
Yeah.
everyone likes to do the oil pulling with, which isn't the
Yeah.
best one to do it with. But it's, socially acceptable because it's coconut, right? It tastes good.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to say, like, I do the oil pulling with sesame oil, and it's disgusting. It's
You do oil pulling with sesame oil.
Yeah, every single morning. I used to do it with coconut oil, which is great. I prefer the taste 100% over the sesame, but the sesame oil is what's really good because it just cleanses everything. The thing is, in Ayurveda, so the mouth is a kapha site. So you could be pitta, right? Like full of fire. But the kapha tendency, the mouth is a kapha site in general for everyone, right? It's think of earth, like very moist, So putting more coconut, like coconut is very, think about it, like very moist and juicy. So you're going to put that already in a kapha site. It's not really doing the wiping and cleansing that it's supposed to. So that's why the sesame oil is what you should be using. But you don't need to only do sesame. Like if I tell people to, like, and I learned this in school, that like you can mix a little bit of your mouthwash as long as it's like alcohol free with it, to make it like less like, disgusting.
Yeah, because
it's not, like to put it frankly, it doesn't taste great.
It doesn't taste the best.
It doesn't. But you can put some mint in there if you have fresh mint in your gardening, or clove, if you want to be real nice.
Oof, that's tough too. Even with the oil pulling, I'm like, I go through like periods where like I'm gonna do it and then I stop and we come back to it. But
it's normal. Everyone goes through phases, right? Like and I know, I mean, with the Ayurveda though, with the whole holistic medicine, which now people are way more accepting of it, even though this has been around for so long. It's not that like, oh yeah, we're inventing this, these herbs. No, they've been around forever. But now people are more open to it, and you do have to do the things consistently, because Ayurveda is a restorative practice. It's it's supposed to rejuvenate you to be able to prevent diseases and stuff. So if you want to prevent diseases in the mouth in the future, and you want to make sure that your teeth are strong, and then I would recommend doing the oil pulling every day. But if you don't do it and you have a phase where you don't do it, it's okay. At the end of the day, we're all just trying our best.
Where I think it's like incorporating like conscious behavior, like the foot thing, right? Like I do this every time I'm feeling uneasy or something like that. Like I rub my feet probably like every other day. And for me, like I think as you start to evolve within your life, whether you're 18, 19, 20, 30, 50, like I see so many people in their 60s, and these people inspire me the most because it's so hard to make changes at that time. I have clients that are in their 60s who are incorporating these practices to self-soothe themselves. And it's so inspiring. And really, it's just a matter of like you doing these conscious acts. Like, okay, I did it once, knowing that I can always come back to this practice whenever it is that I'm feeling uneasy about it. Like whatever it is, like every single day I add something new to my ritual, to my routine. It's the same thing to your habits. Like, and in a sense, it can become so associated to something like OCD, right?
Oh yeah.
And so then you get to a point where you're like, am I being OCD about my routines and my rituals? Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Why do you say that?
Because the OCD is, I mean, like, obviously it's a disorder, right? But like when you think about it, it's, oh, everything has to be the way that your mind is. Like, if I want that book right there, then it needs to be right there. And that's the pit, that quality of the fire of like, oh, it has to be the way I want it. But it's also, everything is about balance and moderation, because you cannot, like, you know, obviously if you have a disorder, when it also had to progress for you to get there, right? So it's also understanding, meeting yourself where you're at. Like, okay, you know, I noticed that when I'm in my car, I don't even look down to put my car in reverse. I just put it in reverse because I'm in a rush. I'm always on the go, go, go. And then I have to take a second and be like, wow, that's not normal right now.
How did I get here?
Yeah, right now it's that. But then 10 years from now, it's that I'm going crazy and I think that I'm going to have a heart attack soon because I'm doing so many things. And then, you know, now it's not the time to go and look while I'm putting my car in reverse.
Oh my God.
Like, now let me try to do things slower. No, you had to do that 10 years ago, because now, like, where you're at is a result of this long time of the habits that you've like accumulated over the years.
And are most of your clients within like our age? Like, what age frame do you usually see women putting these self-care practices as a priority?
So it's actually really interesting. I think that the younger you are, the better you are to do it, right? Because now this is when you have the habit. Like when you said, like, oh, once you get to a certain age, like, I love to talk to my grandmother about these things. But it's very hard because I can tell her and sit with her for 2 hours and she'll be like, wow, that makes so much sense. And then a couple weeks, oh, like, have you been doing it? Oh, no, I haven't. Because, you know, you have all these years of like just doing your own habits, and then, you know, like, oh, you do something for a couple days and then you kind of forget about it. So the younger you are, the better to be doing this stuff. But I noticed that a lot of women, usually once you go through something, so whether it's not just an age thing, but usually women in their 30s, but it's like a shift thing. So like, let's say you just got out of a really big relationship, or you're leaving a job, you know, you're leaving a toxic environment, whether it's your family, like a lot of, that's taboo too, right? Everyone thinks, oh, my family is, I have issues with my family and everyone else's family is perfect. No. Like, our families are karma pretty much, because, you know, I could have, for example, a great relationship with my dad, but all of my karmas from my past lives have also, you know, everyone else in my family, and like, you know, the situation that we're in is because that's kind of the lessons that we need in this lifetime.
Oh, remember, and we actually talked about karma the last time I saw you.
Really? Wait, what did we say?
We were talking because there was like a situation, whatever we were talking about.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then we said, so like, it's interesting because that's a lot about what the Bliss Codes is about, which is the concept of ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah.
So I truly believe that like God has mercy on us when we don't know any better. When we make decisions unconsciously sometimes, you know, when we make a mistake. But when we make a mistake over and over again, that's why, you know, when someone comes to you and they're like, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, all right. You can, the word sorry is also such a, you know, that's a whole other conversation. But if someone actually is truly did something, you know, messed up and they're sorry for it, okay, and they come to you and they're like, I'm so sorry for this, but then they do it again, and then they do it again, and they do it again. It's like, where is the depth to this, right? When you know better, when you make decisions and you know better, that is where I truly believe our karma is paid, right? Yeah. That's when like, oh, okay, we're getting, you know, and it's not to say God doesn't keep tallies on us. I really don't think so. But I think that as a collective, you know, we keep tallies upon each other.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like
the
this
intuition,
that serpent, that kind of that's yeah. It's like, okay, you know better.
Yeah, 100%. Even if, like you said, oh, God doesn't keep tallies on us, we know, right? Like, so it's us.
It's us.
We are the person. Yeah.
We hurt ourselves. It's not God that's gonna like, oh, on Judgment Day you're not gonna be. No, it's not that. It's like, literally, you are your own worst enemy. Like, you're the one that's feeding yourself, and you knew better. And so that hurts even more when you're like, I knew better. I've made this mistake so many times. How many times am I going to have to continue to make the same mistake over and over and over again?
Yeah. No, and that's also like with the whole intuition thing, it's really interesting because when you know, like deep down, you know when you're doing something that's wrong or that's not aligned with you. And the only thing that that's going to hurt is yourself. You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
hurting yourself because you're putting yourself in situations that you know better, you know. Yeah.
I
It's
love
like
it.
it's really hard
It
because, you
is.
know, then when people say, "Oh, trust your intuition," but you've been going like you've been rebelling against your intuition for so long, you
Yeah,
don't even know how to trust your intuition at this
this is
point.
true.
Your body is like, "Oh, well, you know, last time I said to go right, you went left, so I
Yeah.
don't even know where to go now. Let me just go straight." And then
So true. So true, man. Truly, like, so you're so wise. Like, you're
oh,
like this little vessel of like information. I have a question for you. So, Ava, this is something that I ask all of my clients, everybody who comes on the podcast, from poets to artists to business owners. What makes you feel rich in your soul? What makes your soul rich?
oh my gosh. I think living in my truth. When I was younger, there was a time where I was like lost. I felt like not aligned with my purpose, and that's when I was, you know, starting like the business school and doing all these things. And then I had this one meditation which completely changed my life, and I tried to like have meditations before that, but this is the time that God said
Yeah.
this is the meditation for you, that this is going to like mark this difference.
Yeah.
And it was basically like, okay, your purpose is to help like others and heal others. But then throughout this whole journey, I've realized that it's not even about healing others, it's about healing myself.
Yes.
And then being able to tell others like, hey, look, this is, you know, the experiences that I've had, and I see you and I understand, and this is what I think. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just facilitating, like I'm just opening other people's eyes to their ability to heal themselves,
walking them through your own truth. And I always say that you can only walk people as far as you've walked yourself.
Yeah.
So you would say that makes you feel like rich inside.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I'm living in my truth, and that I don't have to lie about who I am.
Yes.
I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not that I'm like, oh, let me start holistic medicine, because that's not even like here in the US. Like now everything is modern medicine, right? Nobody's going to say, oh, you have this problem, let's go take some herbs. Like this was not like the get rich quick like thing. This is what I feel genuinely passionate about. Mm-hmm. And I know that if I create this community and this whole brand that is just based on myself, like what I genuinely feel and like my energy, and I'm inviting others like, hey, look, this is like, I feel happy with myself. When I go to bed at night, I can sleep.
Yeah.
and I wake up happy. So this is what I'm doing and living in my truth. So I think everyone should be living in theirs. What about you?
What makes my rich soul is being able to work also from the gift that God gave me, and being unreasonable about it, and wanting to serve for all mankind. That every single thing that I do from the moment that I wake up, it is with the purpose to serve back to mankind. And knowing that I'm being used by God is to be used by other people, to be a vessel. And that makes me so fucking rich.
No, seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Like,
it makes me feel rich as hell. Like, dude, like I literally don't have to pretend to be anything. I feel so rich at all times. There was a time in my life where I didn't feel rich like that. Even if I would have had more money or not, like it didn't. I'm making more money now, even though I made money then too, because I'm working to help people on such a beautiful level. It makes me feel so rich also that I don't have to pick between being conscious about all mankind and wanting to make money. There is no reason why I would ever have to pick.
Yeah. No, it's true. I don't think anyone should pick. I mean, if anything, like the whole saying of like, oh, when you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. No, it's work at the end of the day, right? You're building. It's a lot of work, right? It is work, but you're happy doing it because there's a purpose behind it. You're not just, oh, I'm working for this other company. I'm building someone else's dream. No, you're building your dream, and you're doing what God sent you here to do.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for being here. For anyone who is looking to learn more about your services and what you do and how it is that they can pour back into themselves, how can people get a hold of you? How can people schedule a session with you?
Well, my name is Ava Machado, so you can find me on my social media handles on Instagram, Ava Machado TV, and my business is Avadana Wellness, Avadhana. So yeah, I mean, this is the start of my journey, and I will keep sharing that. You know, at the end of the day, social media and all of that, it's a way for me to have fun and to share with others.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm using that vessel to share what I have to offer.
Thank you so much, Ava. I am so excited to see all the beautiful things that you continue to do. And I'm sure we'll have you back here again. I'm sure that we'll do something really, really amazing. If you guys are interested in hearing more about her, please check her out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching Rich in Soul podcast. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere. If you have a story to tell, if you're a business owner who has had a spiritual encounter while building your legacy, or vice versa, if you are a healer, artist, poet, and there has been business tactics that you've had to implement the hard way, and you would like to share that message, please reach out to us. We'd love to have you on.